Back on Morning Line. It's our final segment this morning, talking with Scotlund Haisley. I really appreciate him coming on this early today. Talk about Animal Rescue Corps, because you still have work at hand. Again, you are set up with these dogs from Manchester, and there was another smaller rescue, right, in
Lebanon.
In Lebanon, right, that you brought those dogs in.
And we appreciate that local communities see the resources are in their communities, and they have animal cruelty cases, and they contact us.
Yeah.
In this case, they were on scene of an emergency case that they got called on. 10 dogs living in horrible conditions, and they asked if we can come and deploy the resources. And it was very simple for us to go and get those animals and record the cruelty that occurred on that property and bring them back into our emergency shelter and roll them into our system, and we'll be placing them along with the other animals that we just removed.
How much longer will you guys be here?
It's my hope that we'll be complete on this operation by the end of this week.
By the end of this week, and then the animals, you said, going to some of these partners that you have to adopt them out. All right, if someone's watching, and Animal Rescue Corps, again, there's a lot of worthwhile organizations to volunteer at. You may have local shelters you can volunteer at and walk the dogs, all this. It's a little different breed, as I've found, especially my wife, who's very involved with Animal Rescue Corps.
She's been with us every day?
I guess, yes. And she's out there, but then especially, you know, the nature of the types of dogs you come across there, and even going out and maybe doing the rescues. What kind of training for volunteers? How does it go about if someone wants to do this?
You know, Animal Rescue Corps does what we call our BARC training. It's Basic Animal Rescue Course.
Okay.
We do it throughout the country. We do it about 2 to 3 times a year. We've actually done it in the Nashville area twice. We haven't done any other community twice.
I'll be at the one in Chicago on May 9th and 10th.
We've got one coming up in Chicago.
May 9th and 10th.
That's right.
I won't be there, but we do it here.
I was going to say I was going to hold you to that.
Okay.
But you know, that's where we train you to be hands-on in the field with us. As far as, you know, anybody can come volunteer at our emergency shelter once we've set up, because we just give you an hour-long orientation and train you how to help us socialize the animals and clean the cages. So we always want to accept everybody, embrace everybody within the community, because this is an important experience to be part of.
Sure. Now, when you do have the training that's more for the volunteers that'll be with you a lot, what is the main thing that you impart to them that they need to understand when they're dealing with these situations? Is there something, 2 or 3 main points, if they're going to be helping you, that they have to be aware of, the guidelines, rules that they need to make sure they follow? There
are some guidelines. I mean, these are criminal cases.
Right.
We are walking up on a crime scene. You can't just take your cell phone out and take pictures. If you do, that phone gets confiscated because it's now evidence.
Evidence. Gotcha.
So we are there, we're just as much as we're rescuing the animals, we are documenting the scene. And again, those animals are evidence in a potential criminal case.
Okay, so you're law enforcement, you know, partners. I mean, you partner with law enforcement. Have you ever been sued by any of these owners of the animals saying you had no right to take these from me? And
certainly there has been the threat of suits throughout my 25-year-long career.
Oh, I would imagine. It comes with the territory.
But I've never.
It's nothing that.
It's nothing
where you've lost a suit or where you've been challenged, because the cases are pretty. If you're involved, it's going to be pretty darn bad.
Again, we only work with law enforcement. We're responding to a criminal situation, and we're providing the resources because we have those resources. I mean, we have an experienced team that has the expertise in addressing both the animal's medical needs, the criminal aspect of it, you know, the evidential aspect of it, and ultimately the placement for these animals.
Donations too. Okay, there's volunteers. You take donations now. You talked about some of your large partners, okay, some of the corporate partners. What about individuals? You take cash donations, check donations, things like that?
We operate really case to case. I mean, every case that we do, as I said earlier, cost anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000. We have to raise that money to pay for that rescue. Typically, I'm calling a partner prior to even responding. In fact, when we were coming from Chicago to this, we left at midnight and we got here at 8 o'clock in the morning. I was calling donors all night long, asking them to contribute to help us get our boots on the ground. What was it you knew
you were going to need as soon as you got here, based on the size of the number of animals taken?
First and foremost, I needed a building to.
Right, and this is another one. How were you able to secure the building you're at now? These
resources I had, we've got a great volunteer, Pam Black.
Well, there's someone wonderful that donated and said, come on in and you can use this facility.
Pam Black made calls. She called the mayor in Lebanon. The mayor in Lebanon called this property owner of the old Toshiba plant, and he said, please, you could use our space.
See, I mean, that's great people reaching out to do that, because you took that over, but that's just good people thinking about them letting you come in on that. All right, so go on. The cost, you said, can be up to $50,000. $50,000 per rescue?
I'd like to comment on the good people. You
Yeah,
know,
please do.
We see the very worst humanity has to offer in these cruelty cases, but I'm so fortunate to see the very best humanity has to offer with this outpouring of volunteers and people coming to the aid of these animals, specifically in the Nashville area. I mean, the minute we're in town, the minute we are on the news and it is announced we've done a case, the food's pouring in, the volunteers are pouring in, things are being contributed left and right. People love animals in this community.
And that's what you said. You're in D.C., but you could even see living here.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, well, I mean, you've been all over the country. You've seen it all. And it's just the people here.
Best people I've ever met.
You know, if you've lived anywhere else in the country, and I have too, I came here from Los Angeles, you're absolutely right. Yeah. Best people, and all right, so the donations, food, the money. You know, I noticed a lot of the dogs are on these big fluffy pillows.
Oh, those were donated. They're all SpongeBob.
They're SpongeBob pillows. This is pretty cool. And I was like, SpongeBob pillows, wow, what a wonderful donation. And they're made for dogs. These are not children's. These were pet pillows. But someone donated, a truckload of them?
Yeah, quite a few of them, yeah. But the dog,
how handy was that?
Very handy. But the dogs have been killing SpongeBob all week. Yeah. They've been ripping them apart, but they've worked out quite well.
Yeah, go ahead.
But Nick, the best thing, I mean, what keeps us going, what keeps the wheels on our truck moving and gets our boots on the ground is the monthly contributions that people make, the sustainable giving. People sign up to give an automatic contribution of $5, $10, $100 every month, and that's what keeps us alive. That's what keeps us going.
And they can do that through the website, which we're going to put up at the end of the program here.
Yes.
Do you have anything else in the works right now in terms of, you don't know, when you're done here, you guys go back and just wait for the next one. How much of a lull is there between your activities? I mean, you had two that hit. You were in Chicago, and then you had to come down here. You could go home now and have a couple of weeks at least, maybe. And not that you're not busy with administrative stuff, but how long do you usually wait between these days?
You know, it's safe to say we're on the road 60 to 70% of the time.
Okay.
If we're not on a rescue, we're typically doing a training seminar somewhere. If we're absolutely at home, then we're working on building the next case. We're constantly building cases. We're building cases now. We receive complaints of animal cruelty on a daily basis throughout the country and beyond. Most of our work is throughout the U.S. as well as Canada.
You get tips from people that have gone undercover?
Absolutely, and we send people undercover as well.
You will send sometimes people undercover. What is, I'm just curious, the future then for Animal Rescue Corps? It's been around now for about 4 years, almost 4, right?
Just over 4 years.
Just over 4 years. So what's your vision on that?
To save as many lives as we possibly can.
Okay, does that mean you grow?
It means that it's a good question because we talked earlier that we were on a case in Chicago. We got the call. The case was not over. We were only 3 days into that case, and it typically takes a good 2 weeks per case because we're caring for the animals and then we place the animals. We got this emergency call at 7 o'clock on a Saturday night from the law enforcement. We had to make a tough decision, Nick, and I decided to split the team in two for the very first time. I've never done that before. We were running 2 major operations at one time. That's certainly the goal, is to get into the future to identify ways that we can run multiple rescue operations at any given time.
Right, because who's to say, under that what if you had gotten another call? There's a third one that's brutal in Texas.
Right.
Now, you would have just had to say, well, we'll get there when we can, right?
It would depend on the case, and it would depend on where they are on the case. When law enforcement is on scene and they have a warrant in hand, that is as an emergency situation as you can get, because he or she can't leave, because once they leave that scene, their warrant's no longer any good. So we've always got to find a way to get somebody on that property tending to those animals as quickly as possible. And we have done that. We've actually had to at least get some of our local folks over there feeding and watering these animals until the rest of and getting a veterinarian to assess those animals until the rest of the team can get there. But yes, that is our goal, is to identify a way to be everywhere at any given time, because unfortunately, Nick, animal cruelty is not stopping anytime soon. Our goal is to put ourselves out of business, but until that day, we're going to continue to be there for those animals.
That is awesome. As we wrap things up, just want to talk about some of the animals. As he said, they're going to be going, hopefully by the end of the week, to some of these adoption agencies. I think one that my wife has been dealing with, all of them are wonderful, is Mashed Potato.
Mashed Potato, he's a favorite.
We might want to adopt Mashed Potato. I think Mashed Potato is going to Snooty Giggles. I think that's another one of those shelters out around here. But Mashed Potato is like 3 legs. I think it was born with the 3 legs.
3 legs. He's missing the lower
The
part of his
teeth
jaw.
and the tongue is hanging out.
He's a mess, but he is a beautiful guy.
He's
isn't
just
he?
a cool dog. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I mean, those dogs, you know, we may end up adopting mashed potato. We call it mashed potato, by the way, because all he or she, I don't know if it's a he or she, can eat is
Mashed potatoes.
soft food.
Well, Nick, you just said on live television that you're adopting a dog, so let's make sure everybody holds you to that.
You know who will hold me to that?
I do.
That'll be my wife. And so, before we take this break, I just want to throw up, and we'll do it again when we come back from the break. Do we have the web address where people? Okay, they'll put it together. But again, it's animalrescuecorps.org.
Yes, sir.
Go to that. That's where you can. There it is. They got it up there. For more information, if you go to that site, you can find out about where you can send the donations, how you can
Yes.
sign up for the donations.
Yes.
And then you can also earn, join, and give is what it says. across
Yes,
the-
and you can also, in the coming days, we'll have a list of all of the rescue partners, both locally and beyond, who have received animals from this rescue operation, and we'll be putting them up for adoption.
Right, and that's where the media. You do a great job of coordinating with the media, and you're friendly, and you know that the purpose is we can get the word out for you.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're always glad to do. So that will stay tuned here at News Channel 5. Obviously, as that goes out, we'll probably, since we followed the story, get that up there for people to get out there and adopt. And what's amazing is, you know, there are a lot of shelters right now that are full of dogs that need to be adopted.
Yes.
And hopefully you go there. But when we do these rescues, because it's on TV and it gets the attention, those dogs go a lot faster.
They do.
Which is a good thing. Scotlund, listen, thank you, my friend.
Thanks for everything.
How many pets do you have?
I
curious.
just have the one I adopted
Just this one.
on this last
really?
case,
Okay,
yes.
just one right now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but everyone seems to have a menagerie.
And I have, but I've let them all die. I mean, they've all had a wonderful
Yeah.
life, and
Old age
And
and-
the last one was old, and I didn't want to bring another one in, and now we're ready for him.
Now
And
you
I
have a new
found
one.
this guy in the shelter in Chicago.
Yeah, it's a cool dog.
Yeah, he's cool.
All right, Scotlund Haisley, thank you for coming
Thanks
on.
for
Really
everything, Nick.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Take a break, wrap things up, come back with a programming note about tomorrow, and we'll put up that website for you one more time as well. So we'll be right back. Stay with us.